everybody's cool, we started a little bit early with Courtney, and maybe we'll get an extra amount of time with her. So I'm going to pull her on the screen right now. Courtney, you are live, dude. What's up?
Hi.
Yay. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Doing
Awesome.
good.
Man, I'm really thankful to have met you. It's pretty cool. Mandy Fitton is actually one of my best friends, and she is on the Breast Cancer Kids Ticket board. And she introduced you, I think, to Breast Cancer Kids Ticket, and you're a part of the
Yes.
Survivor group that we were talking about earlier, Survivors Rock, a Breast Cancer Kids Ticket community. And we post in that group all the time, and we invite breast cancer survivors to be a part of the show. And it just so happened that that we had it booked out further, but this week we had an opening. And I was talking to Mandy this week. She's like, "Hey, Courtney, you should have Courtney." And I was like, "Well, heck yeah, let's do it, man." So it's so cool to meet you through Mandy. And, if you know Mandy, then you're automatically good people. So
Well, thanks for having me.
yeah, totally. So one of the things that I've been telling everybody about throughout the night is that you were diagnosed at a super young age, 31 years of age. And that's something
32.
32 years of age. Thank you. I
Yeah.
have it written in front of me, but I can't read. And so at 32 years of age, I was actually 41 when I was diagnosed, but I can kind of have, an understanding for what you went through, because I think it was when I was like 33, 34, I found my first lump, but it was actually fibrocystic breast is what we learned. And so then I started going in for ultrasounds every 6 months to watch out for any breast cancer that might occur. And also, fibrocystic breasts make you more susceptible to breast cancer. So I was kind of in that with you at a younger age, having to be fully aware of breast cancer. But I really want to hear your story and how this all came to be. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, give us the story about how you found out you had breast cancer?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too. So it started because I needed to do like more birth control, like just your basic yearly prescription. And I had just moved into a new state, and so I had to get a new doctor. And so I always remember how they say, "Oh, do you do your monthly breast exams?" And I always have to say no. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and check it so that I could go in and say, yes, I did it at least once, like, yeah, I do it. And so I was like, okay. So I checked, and then there it was, like, I just felt it immediately. And I was just like, how, like, I had to check a few times because I'm like, how have I not felt this? It felt big. Like, I think the doctors were saying it was like 3 by 9 or 5 by 9 centimeters or something. I don't know. It just felt like 2 inches by 3 inches wide. And I was like, how the heck have I not felt this? Like, what the heck? And
Wow. Yeah.
like, subconsciously though, I kind of felt like, I think this is cancer. Like my mom, the 5 years prior to that, she had cancer and she was a survivor. And I like was like, I got callers, what did you, and ask her, like, what were your symptoms, did you feel anything? She caught hers in a mammogram. Luckily she never felt hers was stage 1. But it was weird though, because like on my breast there was nothing except, like, my only symptoms were, there was just a little bit of redness on the side, like where the cancer was, and it just felt a little sore, like maybe bruised or something. But when I felt that lump, it was like all the dots just started to connect, because that month I had felt like, yeah, I have this little bruise, and I thought, well, maybe I just knocked something, or maybe when I was asleep my husband's arm knocked me and bruised my boob or something. I just wasn't sure. um, so, and then like the month before that, before I even moved to this new state, I remember it like clicked, like, oh my gosh, my bra was bugging me right there. And I just thought, oh, it's my new bra. Like, it was just like, I didn't think anything of it. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So
I was like freaked out.
yeah, so like when you first felt it, you kind of had like a replay in your head of previous events that had happened where you were like, "Oh, I noticed now that I think about it, this, that, the other," and there were other potential signs. But being so young, I'm sure that it wasn't like at the forefront of your mind. But I'm curious. You mentioned that your mom is a breast cancer survivor,
Yeah.
and so did you ever, after she had breast cancer, um, at that time, was it possible to do any kind of genetic testing, or did you think about that, or had your mom done any genetic testing or anything like that?
No, in fact, my mom didn't even have that option like given to her at that time. And so like it never even crossed any of our minds. Like I just could have thought like, yeah, since my mom had it, maybe I'll get it when I'm older because she was like 55. But I was just kind of like dumbfounded when I was like, oh, 32, cool.
Wow. Yeah, I
But
mean, that's really young. What type of breast cancer do you know? Was it HER2 positive, ER positive, PR positive, triple negative? Do you recall?
yeah, it was triple negative. Um, yeah, it was called like invasive ductal breast cancer.
Right.
And yeah, it was triple negative. I found it at stage 3. And
Wow.
they did do the testing on me for the
Uh-huh.
genetics,
Right.
and they said I had the BRCA1 gene. So once I found that out, my mom went and got tested because she originally had a lumpectomy. So she went and she was positive for BRCA1 also. So then she ended
Wow.
up being a double miss.
Wow. Wow. How close was that to going through, like when you were going through your breast cancer and you were tested, had genetic testing, and then she had her genetic testing? How close was her double mastectomy to your bout with breast cancer?
I think it was like after I had mine done. So
Wow.
I guess like it was a good chunk, like 6 months to a year after I had my stuff done.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, and she's
Yeah.
she's doing good. Like she ever since she had
Yeah.
gone through her battle with breast cancer, she's totally clean and totally fine now.
Yeah. Totally good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
She
crazy.
also had triple negative too.
Yeah, and for those people watching, we talk about triple negative breast cancer a lot with Breast Cancer Can Stick It, because I myself am a triple negative breast cancer survivor. And triple negative breast cancer is a more rare, more aggressive form of breast cancer. It's more likely to recur. It's more likely to spread and things like that. So it's really scary when you get that diagnosis. So tell me, like when you first heard it was triple negative, did you hit the internet and find out what was going on, or how did you learn about what that meant?
I actually did a lot of that like Dr. Google stuff when I felt that lump too, which is never good. Don't do it. Because yeah, I was like trying to find out what my symptoms were, and like it was actually kind of weird because the symptoms that I had did not match up to what a typical breast cancer what it is. So yeah, it didn't really pop up.
Yeah, yeah. It's scary. Like I remember when I was first diagnosed, they said make sure you look at reputable sources and stuff like that. And it's just really scary diagnosis to get. It's about 10 to 15% of women diagnosed are diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. And like I mentioned, it is more aggressive, more rare. However, the good news about it is it does respond better to chemotherapy than some of the other forms of breast cancer. So with that, like, what did you
Yeah.
end up doing as far as treatment went?
So for treatments, they did some like 4 different medicines. Um, in fact, what I was even discussing, sorry, I'm going to go kind of off topic with this, but so when I was discussing it with the doctor, the medicines that we were going to do, like carboplatin and just a bunch of others, she asked me a random question like, "Do you plan to have kids?" And I was like, yeah, like someday. And she was like, well, one of these medicines can actually make you infertile. And so I was like, oh, like that sucks.
Wow, that's
And
really
so
scary. I mean, because dang, you're so freaking
yeah,
young. I just keep thinking about how young you are, and then you get that kind of news. You're just like, ah. And were you married at this point in time?
yeah, I was married. We just didn't have any kids. We had one dog.
Right, right.
So yeah, so I was like, yeah, I was hoping to eventually. And she was like, okay, well, we can try to add, something else to your treatment plan to maybe help preserve the ovaries, but there's no real guarantee. So they actually added a shot that like put my body into menopause to help save my ovaries, and it worked.
Wow, I've never heard of that before. Were there any risks associated with that shot?
It's possible. My doctor, I think she tried not to tell me as much stuff
Right.
as possible because I would have been like overloaded. Because like I would have like
Yeah,
random
that's
symptoms, and I'm like, oh look, my nails are coming up or whatever. I'm like, she didn't tell me about that.
she's kind of keeping you in the dark so you're not freaked out.
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah,
okay, this chick's 32, man. Let's be cool, man. Just let her,
yeah,
just send her out on the road by herself. So she can figure that out, and we'll just tell her everything's okay when she comes back.
yeah.
No,
Pretty
that's.
much.
I mean, I'm glad that that worked.
I'm
I haven't.
glad though.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never heard of that shot before. I definitely have heard that going through chemotherapy can make it where you can't get pregnant later, and there's a risk of that, and a lot of times it'll send women into menopause permanently, and they don't ever come out of menopause. So it's a really cool thing that you had that shot because later on you got to tell everybody what happened with regard to having kids. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So so anyways, with the medicines, I ended up doing 16 rounds of chemo, and then I had a double mastectomy and then 5 weeks of radiation after that. And then I still have to do one more thing as like a protocol. I have to get my ovaries out, like a hysterectomy, before I'm 40.
Okay, and just so that everybody's familiar with that, I believe that's mostly because of the BRCA1 that you
BRCA.
have, yeah,
Yeah.
the gene. So as you mentioned before, Courtney mentioned before, guys, she has that had that genetic testing, was found to have the BRCA gene, and so there's a lot of things that they have you do to prevent getting ovarian cancer or breast cancer or anything like that. I remember whenever I got the genetic testing, they told me, my oncologist was like, I want to do a full hysterectomy if you have that gene. And I was like, holy crap. But I was down for whatever because I wanted to do whatever it took to not be at risk for more cancers later. But it does put you at a lot higher risk for a lot of, some other kinds of cancer. So I'm glad you're doing all that stuff. So you were 32, you said it 6 years ago, so you're 38, so you still haven't had that surgery then? Is that right?
No, I need to do it like this year.
Yeah. Put that on the calendar, lady.
I know. Well, stuff got kind of pushed back.
Oh God, tell me about it. I know, right? Yeah, it's not really at the top of your mind at this moment in time. So,
Yeah.
talking about, I love how this all just kind of leads right together. We're talking about the fact that, usually when you go through breast cancer treatment chemotherapy, you are put into some form of menopause, but Courtney was mentioning that she had a special shot so that she would have a better chance of being able to get pregnant later. And I don't want to forget this too. A few people are saying hello, Courtney. So Garth from Ohio is watching.
That's my dad.
Hey Garth, what's up, Garth? And then we also have Chip Ritter's in the house. I love you, Chip. Chip is our top Dermathon fundraising. He's our fundraiser. He's killing it. Mandy says hello. Bill Fenton says hello. And there's just a lot of conversation going on. Susie says, have to get on a call. And is so sorry. I'm going to miss you, Courtney. But Susie can watch the replay. We'll have this again. This will be up on our YouTube channel as well. So you can watch the replay here on Facebook, or you can go straight to our YouTube channel later in the week and watch just this interview alone. So you got a lot of fans out there watching. It looks like Melissa K is saying hello. Darren says, my wife is a 4-year triple negative inductive carcinoma survivor. One of her friends was just diagnosed last week. Wow, Darren, we would love
That's
your
really
wife
cool.
and one of her and her friend to join our breast cancer survivor group, which is pinned right here in the comments. It's a Survivors Rock, a breast cancer ticket community, and Courtney is actually from that group too. So you're going to be amongst some really cool people. Courtney's there along with a lot of other people. We have some female drummers there. We got some roller derby chicks, some school teachers. We have a male breast cancer survivor. And we're all there to share our experiences about going through breast cancer, and most of all, to lift each other up and support and encourage one another, especially during these crazy times. And Darren says, congratulations to you both. Thank you so much, Darren. And Donald Wood says, hi, Courtney. I love you.
That's my husband.
Donald. Oh, cool. I'm so glad he's watching. That's really cool. So anyway, as I was saying, Courtney was telling us that she had a special shot that was given to her when she went through chemotherapy to make it more likely for her to be able to get pregnant later, since she was so young, 32 years of age when she was diagnosed. So fast forward, how many more years? 4 years, and tell us what happened.
So a year after the chemo stuff happened, I was able to get pregnant with my first kid, who is now almost 4. I have a little daughter. And then almost 2 years ago now, I had triplets. So
And I'm still just like, triplets. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So crazy. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that you didn't have triplets while you were going through breast cancer.
Oh my
Like, I'm glad you
gosh.
didn't birth them during that process, and I'm glad that you
Oh my
didn't have them like
gosh.
running around and pulling on you when you're going through breast cancer too, and be
Yeah.
like, ah, I can't take it. So, but that
Yeah, that would have been
is
bad.
such a great story. You know how that's all come back around, and you were able to not only beat triple negative breast cancer stage 3, but then
Hmm.
have a child and have triplets. My goodness, man, that is crazy. So I'm curious, when you went through triple
Yeah.
negative breast cancer, you mentioned a minute ago
Yeah.
about your nails. Tell us a few other things that people might not be familiar with that happened to you when you were going through treatment.
Um, let's see. The weird thing is that stuff happened like at the end. Like nurses had asked, like, "Oh, have your nails lifted?" Like not my doctor, but the nurses, and I'm like, "No, like I'm fine." you know. But it was weird because like as I was going through all the treatments, it was like my body was just on like survival mode, like, okay, I'm just doing whatever I'm told to do, what I have to do. And then it was like when I finished that last radiation treatment, and it was just like, okay, I'm done. And then like all this crap started happening. Like my body was like, okay, you're okay. I don't know. So weird.
Wow.
But yeah, my toes lifted. I can't even think of what
So
else.
did your toenails
Uh,
actually fall off, or
some did. And still to this day, I've got some funky ones. My fingers are okay, but yeah, my nails are still kind of like lifting. It's really gross.
wow, that sucks. And did you do, you hear a lot about people, I know we talked about it in our survivor group, people icing their hands or their feet or wearing a cold cap on their head and all that stuff. Did you do any of that stuff?
Oh, no, I did have to put like cream on my head because I got like a rash from being bald.
Oh no.
Um, I tried wearing a beanie because I did get a little cold, but I tend to run warm, so I didn't really need it that much. Um, yeah.
I didn't have a rash on my head, but I wore a beanie almost all the time because when I went through breast cancer, it was wintertime. Like I started my chemo treatment December 27th of 2010, and so I didn't finish until
Oh,
April, and so it was through the winter. And I remember my head was so cold at night when I would sleep, and so I would wear like a little beanie to bed. We did have a question. Well, first of all, Melissa K says you're beautiful. So that's very cool.
oh,
She's
thanks.
not wrong. You look great. I told Courtney, I was like, man, you
Thanks.
have like the best lighting and the best scene of anyone. She's got it set
Yeah,
up there really cool. Darren says
thank
congratulations
you.
to both of you. And then Melissa wants to know. She wants to know, did you talk to your kids about having gone through breast cancer?
Um, Not a whole lot yet. They're still pretty young. I have mentioned it to my 3-year-old, just because she's seen me without Reconstruction, because I never got Reconstruction. And so she's just seen me plop my boobs on when I get dressed sometimes. So, I mean, I tried to tell her about it, but yeah, she doesn't really understand.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't realize that. So you did not have reconstruction, which you and I both know that that's not very common. Most of the people that we talk
No.
to do have reconstruction. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what your reasoning was for that.
Yeah, a couple things. The main one was I talked to the radiologist, and she said that it made it harder to find, not impossible, but a little harder to find reoccurrences for breast cancer. So I wanted it to be the easiest, like if it was coming back, I wanted it caught quick, since our cancer, is fast growing. So that was like one of the big reasons. And then let's see, the other one was I hate surgeries, and I knew a previous girl who had gotten like some work done, and she had like problems all the time and had to keep going in, and I was just like, I hate surgeries as it is. Like I want this like a one time thing and I'm done. And since it's not really that way, I'm just kind of like, I just don't know.
No, I mean, and it's so cool to hear you talk about your experience and how similar our experiences were, because you just said exactly the same things that I always say too. Is that I wanted to make it really easy to find any breast cancer that might come back in the future. I do know some women in different groups that I'm in that had reconstruction, and they found a lump, and the doctors had difficulty biopsying it because they were going around, implants or whatnot. And also, same as you, I know a lot of women who've had reconstruction, and their surgeries and their reconstruction last for years following their breast cancer treatment. And so rather than just, going in, having a double mastectomy, having your treatment, and then just being done with it, they have to go through a lot of other surgeries and things like that. And a lot of people don't realize it, but people who do reconstruction, they have to go back every few years and have updates done and things like that. There's certain things that have to be redone, and that's like, I didn't even know that until very recently. So that would have been on my list too. Well, I have to do that. But at the same time, I think you have an appreciation, as I do, that it is a very personal decision, and
Yeah.
you can't go to anybody and be like, no, dude, don't get reconstruction, because it is a life altering decision. You have to be okay with it and comfortable with it. You can't make a decision that's gonna harm you emotionally long term. You have to be okay with your decision. Whatever your decision is, you have to be 100% behind that. And so that's just what I try to tell everybody. But I do try to speak and let people know that there's risks in having surgeries and more surgeries. And that was definitely one of the things for me, is like, I don't want to have any more surgeries or go through any more trauma, like have my body go through any more trauma than it already has. So, man, good stuff, man. That's really cool. So let's see, you finished your chemo, was it like 5 years ago, since you were diagnosed, I think 6 years ago, right? So you finished your treatment about 5 years ago. Is that about right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, because I found the lump in June 2014, started chemo. It took them like a month to diagnose me. They thought I had an infection at first, but I started chemo the end of July, and then I ended my chemo the beginning of December, had my mastectomy in January. I think I finished my radiation in like 2015 in like March, the end of March, beginning of April.
Wow, cool. And so, do you have to still go back in periodically? And what does that look like?
Yeah. It's just a once a year check, and then they'll check my blood too.
Do they do like I know for me, when I used to go back in, they would do like a chest X-ray and like an exam, just an exam in the doctor's office. Do they do anything other than that? Any kind of scans or anything?
They don't. At least they haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've just kind of checked and made sure nothing weird is there.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
do you have to deal with lymphedema?
I don't have any issues with lymphedema, but somebody in our group does. Paige in our group deals with that a lot. You should definitely, if you have any questions about that, you should post that and see what her experience has been. But are you dealing with that right now?
I have the last couple days. I know, oh gosh, how long was it? I don't know, like 6 months or something after all my treatments, I started getting that swelling, in my arm. So I had to wear a sleeve for a long time, and then just I didn't have to anymore. But I do catch it like when the weather changes to really hot weather. I'll have to wear it for like a day or two, and then I'm okay again. It's really weird. It's just like once a year.
That is really weird. And I think that the root cause of that, if I remember correctly, since I didn't have that issue, I'm not super familiar with what causes it, but I believe it's related to having some lymph nodes removed during your surgery, right? And so that plays back to it. Yeah. So a lot of times, like when you have breast cancer, they want to find out if it's spread anywhere. And so one of the things that they do is they test your lymph nodes. And then I'm sure you had the thing. Did you have the thing where they had to figure out your sentinel node and have all the injections in your areola? And did you have to have that before your surgery? Do you recall?
No, they just did a PET scan.
Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha. That like PET scan
Yeah.
like lights up anything where there might be cancer.
Yeah.
So was the
Yeah.
reason for the staging was based on the size? You didn't have more than one location?
It had spread. I think mostly it was the size, but it had spread to the lymph nodes, and they just wanted to make sure it wasn't like into my organs.
Right. Yeah, that is super scary. So how was your husband through all of that? I'm sure that was really difficult.
Yeah, he had a hard time with it, watching me go through it, but overall, like, he was awesome. Like, he would bring me to my appointments, and he did everything for me. It probably drove him crazy, but yeah, he was really supportive through it all.
And
So I was lucky.
yeah, we're really lucky, super lucky. I have a few people who are commenting in here, and I've got to read them. So Mandy says Courtney has 4 little ginger babies under the age of 4. So cool. Kelly says continued good health to you both. Melissa says no fertility treatments. So that's good.
Yeah.
Annie says, hi, Courtney. I was 44 when I went through stage 3 breast cancer, triple positive, survivor for 2011. BRCA negative. I had
Wow.
reconstruction, and it was constant work in progress. I went through too many surgeries as well. This time, stem cell to stop the Charlie horses in my right chest muscle. Oh gosh, that must be awful. The fight continues even after treatment, making life change and jumping hurdles. Beat the aftermath of digestive issues. Wow, girl, Annie, you are hardcore, man. I'm glad you're doing okay. I
Yeah.
mean, that was almost 10
Rock
years
star.
ago. Totally. Melissa says, Courtney is my little sister, and I look up to her. She is seriously my hero. That's so cool. And again, guys, I just want to remind you all that this is Courtney. She is also in our Survivors Rock, a breast cancer can stick it community, our Facebook page. And we really love having the opportunity. I personally love having the opportunity to meet other breast cancer survivors and chat about what you go through and the different experiences, because every single one of them is so drastically different. Did you have anything happen during your breast cancer that was just like, what the hell just happened? Like for me, I had my lung was punctured when they put my port in, and so that ended
Oh
up in
my
this big ordeal. Did you have anything crazy happen? I mean, I know you talked about your nails, but
Yeah, not that crazy,
yeah, be
but
thankful.
yeah, yeah, I had a couple things happen. So I had to get um, 2 blood transfers, or whatever it's called. My white blood cell count went way down, like towards the middle end of the chemo. So I had to get 2 of those because my body is like dying. And then I got a blood clot in my lungs.
Oh my
So I had to take
gosh.
blood thinners.
Wow. So what were the symptoms when that happened? And it was that caused by the chemo or the surgery, or which one?
No, it was actually caused, I found out, from the cancer. It was just like how my body reacted to this foreign thing in my body. So it just like thickened up the blood or something. But I found out pretty shortly, like probably after my second chemo treatment. And my symptoms were like, I was like out of breath just from walking from the bed to the bathroom. And then if I took a really deep breath, it just kind of like hurt in my chest here. And that was really the only symptoms I found. And so I was like telling my doctor, I'm like, something's weird
That's
here.
really
So
scary,
she,
though. That's really scary.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So she had me do a scan, and they found it.
So what did they do for treatment for that blood clot in your lungs?
At first, they did some Lovenox shots in the belly, and then they put me on, I think it was warfarin, like the blood thinner medicine.
Wow.
So I had to stay on that for a year just to be sure that everything was good.
That's really scary again, and it's like you're so young, and like I don't know about you, but if I was short of breath and I had been diagnosed with cancer and I was in the middle of my treatment, I think I might be like, oh my gosh, like thinking the worst, you know. I'm glad you were very
Yeah.
vocal with your doctor about that. That's really good. So I always
Yeah.
ask this question, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it. Was there something that you kind of took away from going through breast cancer, something positive that you gained by going through breast cancer?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I actually took a lot away from it. It's weird because it's like this horrible experience, but it's like so much life and goodness comes from it. So a few things like through my whole treatments, like I'm typically a positive person, and just finding being positive really helped me get through it all, and just like remembering the little things that there's always something positive in everything. Like for instance, when I was going through the chemo, my treatments were on Tuesday, and I liked the day Tuesday in the week. So it was like, oh well, at least it's Tuesday. It's just like these little things, but it was like, look for those positive things in life because those are really important. And then I also took away, live life, not work. I was like a workaholic, I think. And it was just like, no, get your priorities straight. Um,
Oh.
and then the other
I
thing,
love
there's
that,
like two
by the
other
way.
things.
I mean, I love that though. I mean, it's so true. I freaking love that, Courtney. Find the positive things. It's so important. So important.
Hmm. And then, sorry, I have two more things.
It's all good.
I'm talking away. Another thing too, it was like I really believe that God places us in the place that we're supposed to be at whatever time for whatever reason that we may not know. Because when I found out I had cancer, we had just moved to a new state. And it's like my husband's job moved us to Alabama. And we were there like for 2 years, which is like the time I needed to get my treatments, recover. And then his job just decided to transfer him back to Texas. And it's like, we were there for those doctors. Like, I think that's why we went there, because it was just like, how random is that? Um, and then the biggest thing I think that I took from it was that I was ready to have kids. I didn't tell you this, but so, back when the doctor's asking me, if we were planning to have kids, like in the beginning of my husband and I's marriage, Donnie, he always wanted to have kids. Like, he was just ready. And I was like selfish because I'm like, no, I'm not ready. I'm afraid of labor. I don't know if I can handle all the responsibilities. Like, I just don't know if I'm ready, whatever. And then when that doctor said that there was a possibility that I couldn't, I just felt like a failure. Like, oh my gosh, I just ruined this for my husband. Like, wow. So it was an eye opener of, yeah, I'm ready for kids. And like, it was just really cool.
God, girl, that's. I mean, it really does.
Sorry.
No, man. I mean, I really appreciate you being so honest about your feelings about it. It's, because it's really not anything that you can explain to somebody. But when they hear and see how emotional that is for you, they can get some idea. That it's just
Yeah.
really is all about perspective. And Laura just posted something that's spot on. She says, Courtney, I love that your priorities now. God uses us and our struggles in ways that we can never know at the time. And God, you guys are all, I think you're
Really
trying to
cool.
make me cry today, but I mean, that's, I really feel that when you're going through your worst time is when probably the best thing is happening. You just don't know it until you're past it. I know
Yeah.
it sounds crazy, but like you said, you weren't ready to have kids, and you were like, "Oh crap, I could have missed my chance to have kids," and that really
Yeah.
kind of made you realize that now's the time. Like in life, now is the time, right? And there's nothing to wait for
Yeah.
anymore, and I totally can relate to
Exactly.
that. And man, that's some good stuff, girl. I really thankful that you shared that
Thanks.
with us, and your kids are so blessed to have you as a mom. And I know that whenever when they get older and you're able to tell them about what you've gone through, they're just gonna look at you as a hero, just like your little sister does, who's watching, and all
Thanks.
your family and friends that are watching right now. So that's it's a lot to go through, and it's all about perspective. And I think that's a really amazing thing. And I'm glad you have. I still can't believe you had triplets. And it's like I just
I
there's
can't
got to be
either.
like some kind of like, I don't know, like you triple negative breast cancer and triplets. It's all threes. Like three is three your favorite number? Because if it isn't, maybe it should be.
What?
There's Tuesday is kind of like three. It's got some of the same letters.
Like, what's in that chemo? What did I? What
Right,
was in
I
that
know.
stuff?
It's probably 3 of something, who knows, but wow, that's so cool. And I love that you also understood that how important it was to look for the good in any situation. You know, I
Yeah,
think that that's
yeah.
a really important thing for people to hear right now, Courtney, with everything that the world is going through. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in the negativity. But sometimes, if you just really open your eyes, you'll actually see some beautiful, amazing things going on in your life that you didn't even notice, and you can really latch onto that and turn that negative thing into something super positive. And so I'm I don't know. It's really cool, man. Really cool. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to share with everybody out there right now? Everybody just loves the crap out of you. I'm telling you that right now. Over here in the chat room, we get a lot of people showing you love over there. So be sure and go back and check that out.
All right, I'll check it out. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Oh, good, man. I'm really happy that I got to meet you. And like I said, any friend
Yeah.
of Mandy's is a friend of mine. And we'll certainly get to talk more. Oh, the one super important thing we didn't talk about is friends,
What?
right? Well, yeah,
Oh,
I mean, come on.
yeah.
What could be
Yes.
more important?
Hello.
We found recently we were chatting somewhere, and we got into this little Courtney and I got into this little conversation about Friends, because we're both big time Friends.
Obsessed.
Yeah, the television show Friends we're obsessed with. And Courtney, I have to tell you this. I went and did kickboxing a while back, and there was a woman there, and she had the frame, the Friends frame, tattooed on her ankle. And I was like, man, I wish I would have thought of that first, because that's like the coolest thing, man. And somebody tagged me today in a friend's Lego set, so I was totally excited about that. And
Wow.
I didn't have time to send it to you, but I'm going to send it to you so you can check that out too.
Yeah.
And I owe Courtney some pictures of my kitchen, my breakfast area, because I've got it all done up in Friends and everything. And so we're gonna come up with this cool Friends challenge sometime soon to help raise funds for Drumathon and help stick it to breast cancer for all these other women out there fighting breast cancer, because this show and the people on it, the breast cancer survivors that are here, it's all about making a difference in our community, sharing our experiences so that people can have some kind of an understanding of what we go through, and also so those women out there that are watching that have been through breast cancer can relate. In fact, Courtney, Jennifer has commented in here that she had the same experience, that she wore a sleeve and had physical therapy for a few months after chemo. Then the lymphedema was very minimal for about 4 years. Now lately it's been bothering me again. I feel like it's stress related. Jennifer's about 5 years, just a little over 5 years past her cancer. And so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. And having that I was gonna say sisterhood in the Survivors Rock, a breast cancer can stick it community Facebook group, but we do have our male breast cancer survivor in there, Randy. And so our sister and brotherhood in that community, it's super helpful to have that place to go to when you got anything weird going on or you need to be lifted up. I hope that you'll definitely pop something out there. And man, I just really thank you so much for joining the show. And on short notice too, I think we gave you like 2 days notice to jump on here with me and act like an idiot with
thanks
me.
for having me.
Totally. And I hope we can do it again sometime. We do our triple negative breast cancer broadcast in March each year, and I would love to have you on that show too if you'd be interested.
Sure.
Excellent, man. Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Courtney. I will see you over in Survivors Rock, a breast cancer can stick it community. It's down there in the pinned comment by our awesome social media team, Mandy and Deborah down there making a lot of things happen with our social media. So again, thank you, Courtney, for joining everybody. Give it up for Courtney, man. Thank you, and I'll see you real soon, okay?
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Courtney, man. She is absolutely amazing, and what a story. I think she might be the first person that I've talked to has gone through triple negative breast cancer and has triplets. I mean, that just has to be like unheard of, right? Like, I don't know anybody who's had that, so that's really amazing.